Dennis Pierce, Pickett Street Properties.
Jesse Moore, Pickett Street Properties.
And we're here today with another interesting little tidbit.
I feel like Sesame Street. Can we be Sesame Street? Can we be Sesame Street instead of Pickett Street today?
Let's go for it.
Today's word of the day, kids, is delegated authority.
All right, Jesse, tell them what that means.
You know, I think most agents probably don't know what delegated authority is, and I think if you're a short sale agent, you absolutely have to know or comprehend what delegated authority is. Right. And I had this come up on a file yesterday, and if you're a homeowner considering a short sale, ask your listing agent that you're thinking about working with, ask your listing agent if they know what delegated authority is.
Well, and I think it's really kind of interesting that delegated authority is one of those things that gives you enormous leverage all of a sudden. Yeah. In a transaction that may have been kind of plodding along.
And you know what? Everything, it's about time more than anything. You know, short sales, I think the thing that kills short sales more than anything is time.
Absolutely. You know? Well, that's why we lose so many buyers, frankly, in transactions. Right. There's just, they don't have the patience. I mean, if you sit for 4 or 5 months, you lose interest, or better things come along. And so their time is the enemy of anybody trying to sell a home.
So yesterday I got a phone call from Chase. I don't know if I'm supposed to name banks or not, but I will. Chase, one of my least favorite.
Chase.
He's one of my least favorite banks to work with. I got a phone call from them. It's been a murder. This file's been awful. But I got a call from the negotiator yesterday, and he goes, "Jesse, I'm $1,000 away from delegated authority." And I got.
At which time Jesse jumped out of his chair and was bouncing off the wall.
I did a happy dance, and then I got to thinking about that, and I think most agents in that situation, if you're negotiating a short sale, if you are effectively, we're at least 8 weeks into this negotiation. Right. We've conceded a lot. The buyers conceded a lot. The sellers conceded a lot. And at this point, we're $1,000. That means basically we're $1,000 away from having an approval.
That's an approval.
And the bank's telling me that $1,000, they're going to let $1,000 keep us from getting an approval. And so most agents, I think, would get vehement and say, "Screw you, $1,000? Really? No, push it through to the investor."
That's your problem.
Yeah, push it through to the investor.
Yeah, and the reality is that delegated authority all of a sudden gives you the opportunity to jump in and say,
"Approved."
Let's go, man.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about so here's what delegated authority is. When that Chase negotiator calls me and says, "You're $1,000 away from delegated authority," what he's telling me is we are within $1,000 of me being able to give you an approval this week.
Right. Well, I think it's really important. Maybe we back up real quick to just kind of tell people how that works. So, their delegating authority comes from whoever that investor is behind them.
Right. So if we break it down, Chase in this example is the servicer. So my client pays Chase, makes her mortgage payments out to Chase Bank.
And that investor, whoever that... Yeah,
the investor, they do not own the loan. The investor who owns the loan is probably Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And then Chase is just servicing that loan. And so what happens in a short sale is that you need to get several layers of approval. You need to get the servicer to approve the short sale. And once the servicer approves the short sale, generally they have to submit it to the investor for approval.
Exactly, yeah.
Now what delegated authority does is it gets rid of the investor approval. Basically, a delegated authority says that it's the investor saying, "Hey, servicer, hey, Chase Bank, if you get a short sale, if we get an offer and it's within these parameters and we get this much or more,
you're licensed to go ahead and make a decision for us.
Just approve it, rubber stamp it. You don't need to send it to us for an additional process or any additional approval. If you can get this amount or more, you are good to go."
And what that does is clears the way so that you, instead of all that back and forth going to the investor. So you've got the servicer going to the investor saying, "Give me approval," and then we're chasing it down. You eliminate all of that, which can be 3 to 6 weeks you're talking about in terms of approval, just doing that dance.
That's the main difference, I think, and that's what I love about delegated authority. If I get a file, and that's one of the primary questions that I ask when we first set up a file. Who's the investor? Is there a mortgage insurance? If so, what's the name of the company? Do you have delegated authority on this file? Right. And that's important to know. I think, one, it shows the servicer that you know what you're talking about. Right. But most importantly, it gives you the information to know that if you get close enough to a number, you can expedite this process by at least 2 weeks, as much as 6 weeks. And I have to say that once a servicer gives approval, it is not uncommon for the investor to take 6 weeks to then approve that file.
It can be excruciating.
And so to me, I'm saving 6 weeks by when the negotiator calls me and says, Jesse, I need to come up with $1,000. I am now that partner with that negotiator to get rid of $1,000 off the HUD.
Right.
And then what that does, it empowers him to give me an approval.
Right.
Rather than having to wait 6 weeks. And so I would gladly I called the buyer's agent. We both kicked in $550, $500 of our commission.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that I expect we will get approval this week.
Yeah.
And we will close in the next 30 days.
So that means closing this year in 2011 instead of
next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's our Sesame Street word of the day is delegated authority. And so that's the word for the day.
Keep that in mind, folks. Have a good one. Thanks.
See ya.